So let's talk about the Yankees lineup now and their bench. It's a high-powered offense, as we know. And the Yankees, they addressed their number one need in bringing back DJ LeMahieu, who's been their best player of the last 2 years. So they haven't. I'm not saying they've significantly improved in their lineup. They just brought back their top player, which they absolutely needed to do. Most of their moves this offseason revolved around pitching. But with that said, the lineup has to stay healthy, and the depth pieces behind it need to be productive. So let's go over. This is what I think the lineup's going to look like. Okay, I'm DJ LeMahieu at second base, leading off, followed by Aaron Judge in right field, Giancarlo Stanton at DH, Luke Voit at first base, Aaron Hicks at center field, Torres at shortstop. Clint Frazier, to me, should be batting seventh instead of Gary Sanchez. He's earned the right to move up a few spots in the lineup. And then behind Clint, I have Gio Urshela at third base once he comes back healthy. And then Gary Sanchez at the ninth spot. If he earns his right to move up, then he earns his right to move up. But at this point, he's been so inconsistent. I think there'd be less pressure on him to be in the number 9 spot. And again, we have Clint Frazier moving up a few spots with an opportunity to drive in some runs on a regular basis. I think it'd be a good idea. But we'll see what happens during spring training. So that's generally the lineup, okay? The bench, there's quite a few guys, okay? Everybody from, what do we have? Esteban Florial, one of the young outfielders. Tyler Wade, Mike Tauchman, Mike Ford, okay? Kyle Higashioka, backup catcher. And he's also become Garrett Cole's personal catcher. Who else do we have? And Miguel Andujar, the super, kind of super utility multiple position guy. Now, we don't know. They're obviously not going to come back up to New York with all those guys, but chances are Miguel Andujar is going to be one of them. It's really up to what's going to happen to everybody else. I personally see Greg Allen making it up. I mean, they acquired him in a trade. He's got 4 years of team control. He plays multiple positions in the outfield. He's a switch hitter, so that versatility, and he's really, really fast. That versatility in the outfield and ability to play multiple positions is a valuable thing. As is, Esteban Florial, too. I think it's probably going to bring up 3 or 4 bench spots, maybe 3. So Higashioka is going to occupy one of them, and now it really depends on who's after that, whether it's going to be Tyler Wade, and Greg Allen, or there's still there's right now you have Mike Ford and Mike Tauchman. Tauchman has garnered some interest, and he's been credible in the outfield for the Yankees, even though he had an off year last year. But so did kind of everybody. He's shown the ability to play. He was a valuable bat. He's a good left-handed bat. He's a good solid outfielder. But bringing in Greg Allen, I think, was a little bit of an upgrade. So, and it's the fact that teams have shown interest in trading for Mike Tauchman leads me to believe that trade for Greg Allen will probably, lead to a trade of Mike Tauchman elsewhere for whatever, international spending money or prospect, a bullpen, somebody. He also has 4 or 5 years of team control, which is valuable, and he's shown that he can hit at the major league level. So, which also signals to me the end of the Brett Gardner era. At this point, the money that they've spent on pitching is a little bit left, and the depth that they have in the outfield now, there's really not a need for Brett Gardner. Even though he's the OG Yankee from 2008, there's just not a need for him at this particular point now, unfortunately, which stinks to say, but what are you going to do? So I think it's probably going to be Miguel Andujar on the bench, Kyle Higashioka, and then probably Greg Allen. And if they happen to bring in someone else, maybe Esteban Florial or Thiago Estrada, who I have not mentioned, I see Mike Ford being out of a position, unfortunately. Miguel Andujar can play multiple positions. He can play the infield and the outfield, but he can credibly back up Voit at first base just as much as Mike Ford can, even though he's a right-handed bat and Ford's a left-handed bat. That I think Miguel at this point has more value, and who knows, they might use him in a trade anyway to get a pitcher, or who knows right now. But it's and if they do, and Voigt's and Mike Ford's still around in AAA, then you have Mike Ford as the backup infielder. So, but at this point, Miguel Andujar offers the multiple positional versatility, as does Greg Allen, and we haven't had a player for a while that can, one of them that can do it in the infield, one of them that can do it in the outfield. So it's something to take advantage of if I were the Yankees. But we'll see what they do. And I think it's probably going to be, in my opinion, Andujar, Greg Allen, and Kyle Higashioka on the bench. But again, we'll see. how Tyler Wade does. We'll see how Estrada does. We'll see how Tauchman does. Because they can all provide value on their end, but we need to find the three most reliable, ones that can provide value even if they're playing inconsistently. I mean, it's one reason I was a big proponent of bringing in Tommy LaStella, because he's never played more than 120 games, but he was, no matter where he did or if he had a week off, he produced all the time. And he would have been an upgrade over any of these guys, but unfortunately he's with the San Francisco Giants. So we've got to work with what we have. And I think at this point, Andujar, Greg Allen, and Higashioka are probably the three most valuable bench pieces for the Yankees. Would I be surprised if Tauchman takes the outfield spot and they keep Allen in the minors for now? No, I would not. But and it's unfortunately, it looks like Wade and Estrada and some of the other guys are going to get boxed out of a position. Wade's been somewhat valuable. He's shown some value. He's a good base runner, but is light on the bat. But we'll see what happens. But that's kind of the way that the Yankees lineup is constructed. They brought back DJ, which was the big move. There was some talk about them bringing in other guys like Kyle Schwarber and stuff like that, but it just doesn't make any sense at this point. And all those guys are gone anyway. Even the multiple positional guys like Jurickson Profar and Cesar Hernandez, they're all scooped up. They're with new teams now. So we have what we have. So I would definitely have two guys who can play multiple positions on the bench, as well as Kyle Higashioka, he performed really credibly last year. And again, as Garrett Cole's personal catcher, he was quite good. So he's the third guy I would keep on the bench. Let me know what you think, what the Yankees lineup looks like. And I hope the guys stay healthy. And the other thing I like about Allen and Andujar is they'll offer these guys an opportunity to have regular off days, which I think is important, particularly coming from a shortened season to a longer season. You don't really know how everybody's going to react. But the ability to give Stanton a day off or Judge a day off on a regular, even if it's once a week or once every 5 games, I would rather take 120, 130 games out of Stanton and keep him healthy, and the same thing for Judge, than not have that. So that's just my opinion again, but we can move these guys, because when you give the outfielder, you can give the outfielder a day off, and if they don't, you move them to DH, which gives Stanton a day off. So there's ways that you can give everybody regular rest without compromising the solid lineup and the production that they can give. And these guys, to me, seem to be the most, I think, the three best pieces to keep on the bench. And that's, unless they make some moves, which could happen, but they seem to be the best ones. And again, having some of these guys in the minors, who they have a bunch of options, it can't hurt. Can't hurt. So that's what my Yankees look like. That's kind of my outlook for the Yankees this year. I'll do some videos on statistical predictions shortly after. I want to see how spring training goes. I want to make sure that they get through the season healthy, or get through spring training healthy before I make any predictions. So once they move up to the Bronx from spring training, we have an idea what the roster looks like. That's when I'll be doing my predictions. But in the meantime, I'll be doing some bunch more videos. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like good baseball content, and hit that notification next to it, and let other people know about this channel. I hope you enjoy it. I want to continue growing it. So I appreciate all of your support. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.